Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, the podcast that asks you a very crucial question in this day and age. Big stream or big screen? Cinema or sofa? Where are you going to do your watching this week? Will you get off your butt and go to the cinema and watch something? Or will you stay at home? Oh, no, that's the same thing. No, I was right. I was right. Or will you stay at home and watch things on various streaming platforms?
Let's get ready to rumble!
My name is Tosin the Befuddled, and I am the host for Netflix vs. Cinema. Joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sharon Bolland.
Hello.
And also joining me on, not on the Isle of Wight, in London is our London correspondent Holly Nesling.
Hello.
Yes, and we do not have our fourth leg of the chair, if you will, just Sean Harris this evening, because he is a Bournemouth fan, and seeing as they qualified for Europe last night, he might be... He might still be partying. God knows.
Rousing somewhere.
Yeah. Knowing Sean could just wake up somewhere and not entirely know where he is because they're in Europe. Although that means that next year, I think we might lose Sean a lot of the times because they will be off somewhere around Europe, depending on which competition they end up in. They might be somewhere like some far-flung place like Lithuania, or they could be in Italy. So it's kind of like and I have a feeling that Sean might be going to some of these games because I think he's going to be there. He's going to be because I mean his family is linked to Bournemouth, like the football club, in a massive way. Right, cool. So let us kick off with what we usually talk about, such as cinema, and we talk about what it is that we have seen in the cinema in the last week. So, Sharon.
Well, I haven't seen anything in the last week, but I was just going to use this as like a little footnote. Is I did actually go to the cinema to see the 40th anniversary of Highlander.
Ooh.
I've noticed recently there's a lot of like these anniversary event cinema things coming on. So I thought I'll go and see Highlander at the cinema, which will be the first time I actually saw it on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my most recent cinema visit.
How was that?
Actually, I was surprised at how good it was. In your mind, you tend to think of it as like, it's an 80s film with Queen soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you actually watch it, and I was thinking, actually, it's much tighter than I remember. Some of these scenes that I thought lasted a really long time are really quite compact little vignettes. And it keeps moving. It's like boom, 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 boom. No hanging around, no messing around. It's all there on the screen. And it really keeps the pace up. And I was really impressed. I thought, this is actually a really good piece of filmmaking. There's no waste in it. It just keeps the story going.
You see, now this is the thing. I never understood this. Well, this was Highlander, because Highlander, we loved that in Nigeria. When we started getting fantasy and like guys with swords chopping each other's heads off, going, they can be only one. We were like, this is brilliant. We thought Highlander was great. And then I go over to England to find out that Highlander had this kind of like almost sort of cheesy reputation where people were kind of like it's like embarrassing to like it. And I'm like, what the hell are you on about? It's a great film. It's an absolutely brilliant film. Highlander 2 is crap, but Highlander is brilliant.
Just stick with the first one and forget the TV series. But no, so that came away really impressed actually, because I was thinking, this is not just a piece of nostalgia. This is actually a well-crafted, well-constructed. The storytelling, it's pacey.
Yeah.
The only thing you just look at every now and then. There's a scene where you see them like when they do like the training montage with Sean Connery and Christopher Lambert, and you think that's not them. That's clearly that's not them. I don't know if it's just got more sophisticated with time, but I was like, let's just they look nothing like.
That's because you're watching the training montage and you're thinking, that's not them. That's an actual Egyptian and an actual Scotsman fighting. So it couldn't possibly be Sean Connery and Christopher Lambert.
I was surprisingly impressed by it, because I remember I watched it on video. It's one of those films that in my youth, when it came out, it's like one of the films you went and saw at the video shop. And that's my only experience of it was at the video shop. So seeing it on the big screen, even some of the effects, I was just like, this actually works really well. Because they just, I'd forgotten how it started. When they started off in like the wrestling ring, I was just like, is this the director's cut? Because I don't remember this at all. It's just because my mind had like blurred some bits and then like focused on others. But no, and then I was sort of like, actually, yeah. I was really happy to watch it at the cinema. It really was a really good, entertaining film to watch.
Yeah, okay. Two things. Number one, I reckon that happens with most films because I can't remember what film it was, but I saw a film recently, and I spent the first 5 minutes going, "This is how it starts." I don't remember this. And I reckon that most films, you do not remember the first 5 minutes of them. But if you go back and watch them again, you'll be shocked to be like, hang on, what's that doing in there? There's a shot of a beetle. What's going on? And the second thing is that... Oh, sorry, Holly, I think you were trying to say something.
I found that's happened with things that I've watched in the last week. And when I've happened to stick it back on again because I need something mindless in the background, I'm like, I don't remember this, but...
Good shot.
But I only watched it 4 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
I've forgotten something from 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Right.
I reckon the first 5 minutes are particularly susceptible to that. And number two, I think that with this whole Netflix versus cinema thing and cinema having to figure out what it's good at, it's a bit like the whole AI coming for our jobs thing. And I was having this conversation with my sister-in-law the other day, and I was talking about, it's like, are you scared about AI? Because obviously I do video stuff, and there's a lot of video stuff that AI can do. And I'm like, look, every time technology jumps forward, you have to figure out what humans are good at. And what the thing is that humans have to do that the machine cannot do. Because when they came up with like the assembly line to make cars, people were up in arms because it was going to take jobs. It did take jobs, but humans had to figure out what they were good at. And I figured that with the whole Netflix versus cinema thing, cinema has to figure out what it's good at. And I think we're going to see a lot more of the 40th anniversary, 50th anniversary, all that kind of, because I think that is brilliant because, as you said, you've seen Highlander. That was like a Friday night staple on VHS. But there's still something. It's like, okay, let's go see it on the big screen. Let's go see whether we can recapture a little bit of that whoa that people had the first time they saw it on the big screen, which is lessened somewhat on TV. And it's...
Absolutely. And the music has real impact in a cinema because it's
surround.
It's what it's made for. It's made for that wall of sound. So I felt much more impactful than I remember really at all. I had a really good evening. I was like, yes. That's
good. That's good.
Back at the cinema.
That's good. Looking forward to see what Henry Cavill does with it. Which I have to say, I feel like he's built for it.
I had missed this.
What?
I had missed this. Henry Cavill doing what with Highlander?
Oh no,
he's becoming Colin McLeod, isn't he?
Yeah. They're currently refilming a new Highlander with Henry Cavill in the title role. And
isn't Russell Crowe the Spaniard? I forget his name.
The Kurgan.
Played by Sean Connery. Was he the Kurgan?
Oh no. The Kurgan was Clancy Brown. He was the bad guy in Highlander. Yeah.
But Sean Connery played the Spaniard.
Sean Connery played. No, he was supposed to be Egyptian.
Yeah, the Egyptian.
He was supposed to be Egyptian, but he was called Ramirez.
But,
was he supposed to be Spaniard?
No, he was originally an Egyptian who took on. One of his personas was like as a Spaniard later on.
Okay, all right,
Neither
cool.
of which sound Scottish.
Yeah, and he's more Scottish than a Frenchman playing the Highlander.
It's exactly. I mean, what they were thinking in the 80s is weird. They were like, right, let's get the Scottish guy to not play the Scottish guy, and let's play the Belgian to play the Scottish guy.
The Belgian Frenchman.
But I mean, it was after a while. It was just like we're just gonna get Sean Connery, and I think there was this unspoken contract with the audience. He's Sean Connery. He's playing a Russian. He's gonna sound like he comes from Edinburgh. Deal with it.
Move on.
Simpler times, simpler, more racist times. All right, cool. Now let's go on to. Okay, that was what we saw at the cinema. You said you hadn't seen anything apart from Highlander reboot.
Yeah, that was all I had seen.
Highlander re-release.
Highlander highlight, yeah.
Yeah, cool. I think that for me that's a good cinema thing. Unfortunately, it does fall foul of a rule of something that you have seen before. Unfortunately, it does. But I still love talking about these. I still love talking about these anniversary showings. And Holly, what have you seen in the cinema?
Zilch.
Zilch. It's been that kind of week. All right, but I think the thing is, there's actually quite a bit of stuff in the cinema because there's a film called Obsession, which is a horror, which means Sean's probably watched it. I wanted to watch The Sheep Detectives because I've been hearing some good things about that. I missed that again. There's a film called Normal, directed by Ben Wheatley with Bob Odenkirk. The Christophers. Now, The Christophers, we spoke about this the other week and how we all got put off by the fact they had Ian McKellen in it. Then I found out that it's directed by Steven Soderbergh.
Oh,
Yes! I know, I was like, oh my god, The Christophers, Steven Soderbergh. It's like, because you got Ian McKellen, I'm like, you got Michaela Cole, I'm like, okay. Steven Soderbergh, I'm now like, oh my god, I have to watch this. I have to watch it. I have to watch this before it leaves cinema. Yeah. I have to watch it before it leaves cinemas, although I think I might have run out of time. But the film I went to see this week is I went to see a preview screening, so this one was not actually out until next week, or until this weekend, which is quite good for us, reviewing the film before it comes out to the general public. And it's called Power Ballad. It's a film called Power Ballad, starring Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas, directed by John Carney. He of Sing Street, I'm pretty sure he did Once. He did Begin Again, which was called kind of Song Save Your Life, and he did Flora and Son, which I believe, Sharon, you reviewed for us a while back. It ended up on Apple. It was done by him, so I went to see that. So that's what we talk. So I'm going to be the one who talks about cinema, and I'm just going to talk about one cinema thing today. And I'm going to say you two talk about something that you've seen at home. So with that, in reverse order, Holly, what have you seen at home that you want to bring to the table?
I have seen The Burbs.
The Burbs. Keke Palmer, Jack Whitehall trying to be Tom Hanks. So talking about things from the 80s that are coming back. All right, cool. And Sharon, how about you?
I've seen a Netflix, I think it's a 6-parter called Legends with Steve Coogan.
Oh,
and
yeah.
other people.
Yes. I know it's got Emil.
Tom Hughes, yeah.
It's got Emil Amin in it. I noticed that from the thing, but okay. I was gonna go with the other Bennett sister because I really want to see how that went. But I think we're gonna have to go with Legends. That is more current. So let us kick off with Power Ballad. So Power Ballad. This is a film by, as I said, John Carney, and he has a habit of making films that are circled very much around music. So things I've heard him speak before. I think he's Irish. If he isn't Irish, the guy's in love with Ireland because almost all of his films are set at least partly in Ireland. And it's like if they have anything to do with any other area of the world, it's okay, we're in Ireland and from Ireland we have to go over there and all that. And in this film, so with him, you're going to get usually a feel-good story that involves music. Whether it's a rom-com, it will involve music. Whether it's kind of like a buddy, it will involve music. It will revolve around music. And in this film, you have Paul Rudd, who plays a character called Nick Power. And when you first meet him, he's part of an Irish wedding band. So they play at weddings and they play all sorts of classics like Stevie Wonder and all that kind of stuff. And the boys are back in town at different weddings, and you see them going. They're called Bride and Groove. That's the name, which I actually thought was quite good. It was quite a good punny nickname for a wedding band. And they go around and they play at different weddings and all that kind of stuff. There's all this, and when I first saw them and I realized that they were in Ireland, I was like, oh my god, please don't. Yeah, I was like, please don't make Paul Rudd do an Irish accent. He did it in Only Murders in the Building, and it was horrible. I was like, please, I can't handle a whole film. And then when he spoke, for the first couple of lines, I was like, is he? Oh, thank God he's American. Thank God he's just himself. Thank God he is just being himself. Oh, whoo! I think we all dodged a bullet there. And so he's this American who lives in Ireland, who's friends in this band. And as it turns out, then they go to this wedding, and it turns out that the best friend of the best friend of the groom is actually this guy who used to be in a boy band. So he used to be in a boy band. The boy band's broken up. He's gone solo. Think Harry Styles. And he's played by Nick Jonas. And so at one point they call him up on stage and he performs a song with the band, and they go, you know what? He's actually quite good for a boy band guy. He's not just a boy band idiot. He's actually an artist. So it ends up that Paul Rudd, after the wedding, ends up in his hotel room, and they just start jamming and just start playing songs to each other. It's like, this one working on what do you think? Oh, here's a song I wrote ages ago. What do you think? And they're just playing back and forth and working on each other's songs and all that. Nick Jonas' character, who is called Danny Wilson, but as an aside, there might be a few asides with this. There was a Nigerian artist in the 90s called Danny Wilson. And so I cannot think of Nick Jonas as Danny Wilson because he's nothing like the Danny Wilson I know. Because this was Danny Wilson, Mr. Ragamuffin. And I'm like, that ain't Nick Jonas. So anytime they said Danny Wilson, I was like, ah! In the film. So I'm just going to call him Nick Jonas. So Nick Jonas goes back to America and he's speaking to his manager. And his manager is like, look, you are one level above. It's like there's a point in your career where being in a boy band is helpful. And then there's trying to go solo is helpful. And there's a point in your career where it becomes an albatross around your neck. And it's like, where are you now? It's like, where am I right now? It's like, you are one step above eating bugs in a reality show for relevance. And he says, well, look at all these songs I've written. And they go, yeah, they're good. But they're album filler. There isn't a really big hit in there. And so he starts playing around with this song that Nick Power showed him in Ireland. And when he starts playing that song, people do the whole, the typical thing of, hang on, I'm brushing my hair. Ooh, stop. What song is that? And then they go along to hear, what song is this that you're playing? Where did this song come from? And he realizes, I've got something here. Then they cut to 6 months later. Nick Power is walking around. It sounds like someone telling you a law of the film. This is all set up. 6 months later, he's walking around a shopping center in Ireland, and he hears this song being piped through the speakers in the shopping center, and he's like, "What? That sounds familiar." He goes home. He looks online. Finds that this song has been released and has gone like 25 million views in the first 2 days, and he's like, "Oh my god, that's my song! Yeah, that's my song!" The problem is he never wrote anything down. He never recorded himself singing it. He never did, and so he can't prove to anybody. He's played it for people before, but none of them can remember him playing it. So the whole thing about the song becomes that he has spent his whole life trying to get that relevance in the music industry. He's finally found it with something that he wrote, and someone else has taken it and passed it off as their own. And that is the whole film is about what that does to him. What was going through Nick Jonas's mind when he did that, and how are you going to go about doing this whole thing? And then it becomes this wonderful. I think John Carney is brilliant at making small films with small groups of people about similarly small things that are just incredibly heartwarming. And I found this film incredibly heartwarming. His relationship with his wife, his relationship with his daughter, even the Nick Jonas character and what he was going through. I was like, okay, that humanizes like a sort of star there. And I would say, guys, go watch this film. I have become a fan of this film. I want people to go watch this film. There was a point watching this film that I actually cried. And there was a point where I was watching this film where it was the kind of film I'm watching and I'm like, if this doesn't have a happy ending, I'm going to riot. Because this film is engineered to have a happy ending. If it doesn't, this is going to be one of the worst experiences of my life if it doesn't. So take of that what you will. But when it comes to a star rating, I would give this a 4 out of 5. I think it's probably the best John Carney film I've seen. And I think the way he works music in and everything like that is great. About the only problem is that there's some points where they're supposed to be playing live and it doesn't sound anything like they're playing live. I'm like, no, that was recorded in a studio. That was recorded. There's some bits where they're playing live and it sounds like they're playing live, and other bits I'm like, no, that's a studio. Do better, John Carney. And one word for the character Sandy. There's a character called Sandy in it who is hilarious. He has the biggest lines. There were bits where if I was drinking anything, I would have spat it out with some of the utterances that he says. And the closest thing he reminded me of is, do you guys remember Notting Hill? The Hugh Grant, Julia Roberts movie. That was the film that broke Rhys Ifans out. Well, Rhys Ifans became this star and everybody knew who he was because of Notting Hill. That is the closest I can, like, this character, Sandy, I will find the actor's name in a second, who plays him. He is like that character. It's like, imagine an Irish version of that character. And I was like, oh.
Called Spike or something.
He's called Spike in Notting Hill. It's called Spike in Notting Hill.
Yeah.
And he pretty much steals every scene he's in. He steals every scene he's in. But yeah, all in all, I would give this film a 4 out of 5. I would say go watch it. And if I could ask the question, that we should ask ourselves of, should you watch this film in the cinema? So should you watch Power Ballad in the cinema or wait until it comes on a streaming platform? go watch it in the cinema. Go watch it in the cinema. It is so great. It is so heartwarming. It is, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of people in there on the previous screening with me, and I think we all had a good time. All to a person. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for Power Ballad, I would say. Yeah, so please, when it comes to next week, guys, go watch it and tell me how wrong I am. All right. Oh no, sorry. I'm just looking at the. Okay, he's played by a guy called Peter McDonald. Sandy is played by an actor called Peter McDonald. And I'm just looking at the cast right now, and I'm remembering scenes from the film, and oh my god, it's hilarious. Okay, I've got to stop looking at these guys now. Now let's carry on to you. No, let's go Holly. Let's go Holly. Tell us all about The Burbs.
So, The Burbs is a new series on Sky off the top of my head, though that's not necessarily true based upon my current memory. That is a remake of a film from the 1980s.
Yep.
It features a young couple played by Keke Palmer and Jack Whitehall, who have just moved back to his parents' home in a nice small neighbourhood full of general loveliness and perfectly leafy trees and impeccably cut lawns and homeowners associations and the like. And they have a young baby. Keke Palmer is at home and is bored out of her mind, and makes friends with a local group of mostly older women, and a younger guy who hang out and drink wine, and I think they are technically meant to be possibly a book group, but they mostly drink wine. They gossip and they observe, and they notice all sorts of random things in the neighbourhood. Jack Whitehall's best friend lives nearby, who is recently divorced or is in the process of getting divorced and is rather traumatised by the experience. And so he is back in his old neck of the woods as well. And when they had been young, their best friend, who was a girl who lived over the road, disappeared when they were in their teens. They thought she'd gone off to New York, but never knew what had happened to her and were suspicious. Cue, somebody buys the old house over the road that was her family's home, and they start getting suspicious. And all of this revolves around what actually happened, trying to figure out what happened to the friend, trying to figure out all sorts of other slightly random things, as everybody has secrets of some sort, and madness and a good dose of hilarity ensues. It's very
hopefully, yeah.
It's what, 10 episodes, I think.
Okay.
I'm just double checking that. Is it 10 or is it even?
I think I heard 10. I think I heard 10 from because it is on Sky. Yeah.
Yes, I think 10 is right. It's certainly lots, and there is already a second series lined up as it ends. I know it ends with there is resolution, but it also ends with a cliffhanger.
Ooh.
So, yes, but I'm really looking forward to series 2. So it's good fun. It's really fun. I very much enjoyed it. It's silly, but I like silly.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day about how nothing ever ends, and I was like, oh fuck. He was complaining about The Boys, and he was worried that The Boys, because it's in its final season at the moment, which we should review at some point. I think it finishes this week, and I think Sean is going to watch it. So it's like it was complaining about The Boys, and he was talking about how he's like, it needs to have an ending. It needs to actually have an ending, because if you don't get rid of one particular character, you're just going to keep this thing going forever. And if that's the case, you're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin the whole thing. And yeah. So anyway, sorry. We're talking about The Burbs, and we're talking about, you were saying you don't mind the cliffhanger ending.
I generally do mind cliffhanger endings, but I really do want to know what's going to happen next, and it wouldn't have... You'd have had to have kept going for a while longer in order for to have the full resolution of stuff. So it's I really, really enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. Have you ever seen the film it's based on, The Burbs?
I started watching it many, many, many years ago when I was about 8, and for
Yeah.
some reason, I'm not sure if I didn't finish it but for some reason I was scared by it.
It
Seems
is.
like-
It is supposed to be a bit
One of those
scary.
ones with like a mixed messaging. You think it's going to be humorous, but then it goes dark. So it's yeah.
A bit like Widow's Bay from everything I've been hearing.
Yes,
Yeah.
there should
Yes,
be a new
I need-
episode tonight, I think.
Oh, excellent. So we know what I'm doing after this.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, The Burbs. So the TV series The Burbs on Sky. How many stars would you give it?
3.75.
3.75 for The Burbs. There's just a bit of me that kind of goes, and I will 100% say this is old man. This is old man totally stuff going on. And it just kind of goes, hang on a second, this story was only 90 minutes in the 80s. Where did they find the other 7.5 from? And it's yeah. But anyway, never mind. So 3.75 for the TV series The Burbs.
Yes.
And does Jack Whitehall do anything other than play Jack Whitehall?
No.
Because I have to admit that's one thing I was wondering how that would work. How that would work. Like the Keke Palmer Jack Whitehall pairing as a married couple is really intriguing to me. I'm like, how does it work on camera?
It really does work, but he is, as always, Jack Whitehall.
Yeah.
It's like one of life's certainties.
Oh, although okay, I'm not sure whether current. I'm not sure whether this reference makes anything to any of you guys. But do you guys remember a hip hop artist called Eve?
Yes.
Yes, she was a rap artist called Eve. So she was part of like the DMX crew, the Rough Riders crew. She was like the queen of the Rough Riders and all that. Found out that she's married to an English lord.
Wow.
Unexpected.
I know. I mean, like Claudia, my wife, told me this, and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, Eve." And I just immediately had so many questions. I was like, "How? Where? In what?" And I'm trying to conjure up.
She's
What?
Lady Eve.
She is Lady Eve, and I'm trying to be like, I'm just trying to in my head imagine the situation, imagine the social situation in which they met. I'm trying to imagine what the first date was like. I'm trying to imagine what her life looks like now. Does she go hunting with corgis?
She'd be very bad at hunting, so probably not.
And I'm like, do they ever go back and see her family in the States? What does it look like when you put an English lord in a Black American family? What does that look like? And it's like, yeah, so many questions. So, yeah, Keke Palmer and Jack Whitehall is not the weirdest thing. So,
That really isn't.
all right, and as before I get myself cancelled for sounding like an old fuddy duddy who can, how could these two possibly? What would the children be like? Before I end up being like that, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to talk about on stream platforms, and that is Legends. Legends. All I know about this is that it stars Steve Coogan. I've seen a little bit of one of those trailers that they show on Netflix.
Trailers, yeah.
Yeah, like once you hover over it for too long, and it's something about people going undercover as I don't know. Sharon, you explain, please.
Yeah, no, it is based on apparently a true story. It's set in the end of Margaret Thatcher's sort of era as Prime Minister, late 80s, early 90s. There are beginning to be incidents around the country where heroin deaths are becoming a thing, and they declare as part of like the Home Office initiative a war on drugs. And they don't want to just take the dealers off the street. They want to go to the importation of drugs. And within Britain, it's one of those things that the importation of drugs, even though it's like a criminal matter, at that level, at that point, it is an investigation by His Majesty's Customs, or Her Majesty's Customs at the time. And this all came about because before the police force was formed, the army operated on land, the navy operated at sea, and because smuggling happened across both of those things, a new force was introduced, and that became the customs officer. And so that role still exists today, like 300 years later. But their role is about interrupting and intercepting anything being smuggled into the country. And so their mission is to go and see if they can interrupt this mass importation of drugs to stop these deaths of young people. And there's the two incidents. There's the death of a cabinet minister's daughter through a drug overdose, and then there's this lad on a Liverpool housing estate, his death, and they both happened at the same time. And so it's like saying this sort of awful event is happening across all class boundaries in Britain. And so the HM Customs put an advert out to say that anyone working within customs who want to do something different feel that you can offer more. And then they go along, and then they're whittled down till they select basically just a handful of people who they think are capable of going into working undercover. And the term legends come from is because these people have to create a persona, and they have to inhabit this character so that when they go and they work on the scene, they try to infiltrate these gangs, or they're observing these gangs, they have to have a complete cover story. So they have a background, they have a history, and they create these personas around them called their legends. And then you have to live your legend. So, and it becomes fully immersive. So you see this one team where they've identified that most of the drugs coming into the country are coming via a Turkish gang, directly from Afghanistan and from Turkey, the heroin. And then there's another gang operating out of Liverpool where they have control over the ports and any drugs coming in through the port of Liverpool. And so you have this sort of one operation where they have like two branches where they're investigating this importation of drugs. And you see through the eyes of these characters how they go about making contacts, then getting involved in these gangs, and then what it takes to gather evidence, and then to create this operation where they can interrupt the importation of Class A drugs. And it's a story told over 6 parts, with Steve Coogan as one of the leads of he sets up this task force because he's had experience of being undercover himself with other officials.
Sharon, I'm sorry, but I'm keeping quiet because I'm getting like
feedback from you. So, okay, I think I'm going to mute you for a second while I speak, because when your phone rang, something went wrong, and then all of a sudden, I started hearing everything I said back to you. Holly, did you hear everything? Did you hear me echoing when I spoke?
I didn't until you spoke the last time.
The last time, then you heard a whole bunch of echoing, right?
Yes, but only when you just interrupted Sharon. I hadn't heard anything from that.
All right, cool, good. So Sharon, I'm gonna try and not talk when you talk. So I will unmute you at some point. But it's okay. So that's answered a whole bunch of questions for me. Like, why is this called Legends? So I can see there's Tom Burke, Steve Coogan, Charlotte Ritchie, Amil Amin, and so do you know? Was this based on a true story?
True story.
According to the blurb, yes, it was based on a true story about this task force that was set up to intercept, the mass importation of heroin. So, as far as it's, because they do say at the beginning, some characters have been amalgamated and some scenes have been, for dramatic purposes. But on the whole, it is based on true events from 1989, 1990, that sort of period of time.
Cool. So how many stars would you give it then, in that case?
Yes.
Yeah, I found it engrossing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was, well worth watching. So I would give a 3.5. I thought it was a solid piece of fact-based drama.
Okay.
So that's 3.5 for Legends, and let us have a 3.5 for Legends. So that is everything that we are reviewing today, and so the only question is to ask, who do you think has won this week, Netflix or cinema?
I think
We'll go Holly first of all.
Cinema.
Sharon.
I think cinema.
Yes, it is cinema. Cinema has won because I was totally besotted with Power Ballad. I was totally besotted with that. I think John Carney's done it, and yes, I'm in his pocket. I mean, it would be nice if they paid me to say this, but they're not paying me. But I just thought it was a really, really great film. It was one of those lovely, soppy moments that I've had in the cinema that I think actually really, really works. Like one of my favorite things this year. So that is it. This week, it is Netflix who has won. I don't think we have.
Cinema.
Sorry, what was that, Sharon?
Cinema has won.
You would be correct. Yes, cinema has won. Cinema has won this week. So, actually, okay, cool. So that is it. Yes, cinema has won this week. Cinema has in fact won this week. So, yeah, I think that is everything. If you have any thoughts on this, if you wanted to go to the cinema, watch Power Ballad, and then say, hang on, Tosin, what the heck are you on about? That was the bunch of rubbish and soppy nonsense. Yes, I will be happy to fight you in the parking lot afterwards because it's a great film. And but until next week, when maybe I'll get to see either the Sheep Detectives or the Christophers. Maybe my Steve Soderbergh love will get over my Ian McKellen meh. The ambivalence, that's what I'm looking for. My Ian McKellen ambivalence, and get me to the cinema to go see the Christophers. Who knows? Maybe Holly will finally make it back into the cinema. Maybe Sharon will come and see something that isn't actually, wasn't originally released 40 years ago. So it's like maybe. But until that time, until next week, it's a goodbye from me. Holly, I think we have to go next.
Goodbye from me.
And Sharon.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us.